Yes. All right. That was quick. I saw Ravi going for a drink, so was I. It went really quick. Hey, welcome, Ravi Swan. How do I pronounce it? Ravi Swanathan? Is that?
You can call me Bob if that's easier, but
No. Ravi, is that Swanathan or by?
Yeah, Swaminathan is sort of the Indian way of saying
Yeah.
it. Swami
Okay.
Nathan, is sort of a Western way of saying it.
Yeah.
And I assure you, Jack, I'm not insulted by either. Always fascinated by different interpretations of a name.
Yeah, you might say that sounds kind of cooler. I like Swami Nathan. It makes it
And
different. It's a
for
good
those of
twist.
us that want to know what that means,
Yeah.
actually, the word Swami, I think, has kind of made its way into popular culture, right? It just means knowledgeable person or a god, in the traditional script. And then Nathan is also a god, so technically it's god of gods, which I think
Wow.
my parents were trying to tell me, hey, do something useful with your life, right?
That's a lot of pressure when you have that name.
That's right.
That name growing up. Yeah, you got to deliver. You got
right,
to
exactly.
do something good. But you are delivering. And by the way, welcome to the Happy at Work podcast. It's all about bringing positivity into the workplace, empowering workers, making it better for people. And then we bring on smart guests like Ravi who could share kind of the businesses they're building and tell a bit about their journeys so that you can relate and see how he got to be a CEO and founder of this really cool app. So maybe I'll pass it off to you, Ravi, and you could share, who you are and a little bit about TaskHuman.
Yeah. So first of all, Jack, thank you for having me. Big fan of your podcast. I've listened to some of the past episodes. Just some wonderful perspectives that have always come out of everything, and I'll try to sort of continue that tradition
Yes.
you started. It's been a sort of interesting journey, and I've done a lot of things over my 25-year career. Started off as a programmer back at Ericsson in the 90s. And then moved on to a company called Motorola, which is sadly no longer around in its sort of former glory, but still doing some amazing things. Had a chance to be starting off as, again, a programmer, moved into product management, product marketing, lived in Germany for 4 years, so very privileged to have done that. Ran a P&L, a small one, from 300 million to, we kind of ended up doubling it to 600 in a few years, which was a ton of fun. And then, became chief of staff of a global sales and marketing team, overseeing sort of 6 billion in revenue and thousands of people. Ended up moving back to the US, joined a fantastic company called SanDisk, which I think a lot of your viewers might know, makes amazing products. And then I was a VP and GM running a systems business unit. Had a ton of fun kind of building products from the ground up in a big company. And then when SanDisk was acquired by Western Digital, in 2016, I believe, for 18 billion, and I just felt like that was a good time to do something different, and moved into the startup world. Joined a startup in LA. And then after that, I just had this itch to kind of do the thing on my own. And so I ended up founding TaskHuman in late 2017, and 4.5 years later, sort of here we are.
So how was it? So you worked at all these large companies, these large tech companies, and then you're like, all right, F it, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to build something. Like when you did it, like how did you feel like the first kind of months and year or so? Were you like, what did I get myself into? Or did you just go right into it like, this is, oh my God, I should have done this 10 years earlier?
Actually, that 10-year number is actually very prescient, because I haven't shared the story with you, but actually the plan for TaskHuman I had actually written down in 10 years before I started it in ink and paper. So I had a little bit of free time at that time back in the day, and ended up kind of writing all my thoughts around this concept of, do we really need to be in a certain place meeting people live in person, or can some of these things be done over a video call? And so a lot of the sort of inspiration for TaskHuman came from kind of seeing the medical system. In my time in Germany, as I mentioned, right, we had our son, who was actually born in Germany, and then we later moved on back to the US. Our daughter was born in Austin in Texas, and so we kind of saw the contrast in medical systems. And I was always curious about, man, why does it cost so much back in the US, whereas it's actually basically universal healthcare in Germany, right? And a lot of the answer to that was, okay, what if we could remove the building? Would that make the doctor's services cheaper, right? What if we could remove, a lot of the costs of, equipment and things like that? Would that make it cheaper? So that level of thinking around what does it take to make human services cheaper, I kind of had in mind, more affordable, more elegant, easier to deliver. And along the way, there've just been a lot of inspirational moments that really convinced me that TaskHuman was due. But before I go into that, just a quick overview of what TaskHuman is, because I think
Can I ask you
people
before you
appreciate
say
that.
that? Before I I'm curious. When you wrote that down, did you write it down kind of to manifest? Because I'm kind of new to this, but I'm thinking, with affirmations and trying to manifest your destiny. Is that part of it? Or is that secondary? That you really like? Okay, this is what I want to do. I'm putting it down, ink on paper. So this is real.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, I find that I'm a big fan of fountain pens, just old school
Yeah.
ink. And, I always, one of my bosses and my dad also always used to say, right, when you're able to write your thoughts down, that actually requires a level of clarity, right? It's different than typing because you can just go back, erase, hit delete, go all the way back. But when you're writing stuff down, you got to think before you actually put it on paper, because it's a pain in, you don't want a notebook that's got full of scratches, right? So that process of kind of writing it down is actually something that I've practiced a lot, and I still enjoy, doing it, just writing things down. It forces me to think. And then to your point, right? Because you've written it down, it does help, sort of manifest and make sure that you're not losing track of it. I always have a book of ideas. It's actually always right here,
Yeah.
next to me, and I kind of just take my thoughts down.
Right. So that's cool. And so I interrupt you. So now maybe you can
Yeah,
tell
no, so
everybody about.
continuing the story, right? So 10
Yeah.
years later, I did a startup, and then, and then it just, one day I was like, hey, I just really need to go do this stuff. The time has come. And ended up, starting TaskHuman, and it was an interesting journey. I mean, I remember having conversations with my wife and saying, hey, we're doing a startup now. And she had a job at a relatively bigger company. And so we said, but still, we should sell our house. Like, this is going to be a unpredictable journey. And we kind of knew we didn't want to have any burden, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And so we actually ended up selling the house, liquidating our 401k, doing everything, and saying, let's keep it here because this company and this idea may need that money. And we actually ended up putting a little bit, quite a bit actually, of personal money to get this idea started. And then of course, VCs came in and funded it. We're like, okay, finally, we don't have to write checks from our personal bank account, right? So it's kind of one of those stories where it did take all of that to kick it off to where it has become. But throughout that, yeah, it's been a ton of fun. So it goes back to that manifestation thing, right? I'm also one of those guys that once I decide to do something, I have forced vision, and I'm not going to take my eyes off the ball. So for me, anything else, once you are onto something, is a distraction. And so that was sort of the journey to get to here.
So so I think a lot of people who'll be watching this would be interested in entrepreneurialism. And over the pandemic, I think records have been set by the amount of startups, and not even the startups with venture capital and Andreessen Horowitz startups, but just regular, whatever it could be, a restaurant, you name it. And it seemed that, that's the thing. So a lot of people are interested in that. Now, when you sold the house, like, how did your wife and kids react when you said, okay, honey, kids, this really nice house in Austin we live in? Well, well, we're going to kind of downsize. Like, how that had to be a very uncomfortable conversation. No?
No, actually, so my wife is, just incredibly supportive. She's the VC herself, so she's been part of the ecosystem.
So she gets, okay.
So she kind of gets it. It was a tough decision because we're based still in Silicon Valley, so our house is in Silicon Valley, and it was a pretty nice house. I'm not gonna lie. But the kids were kind of too young to complain at that time. I
Okay.
think they were maybe 7 and 9.
Yeah.
And so I think they were just about that age where as long as they had their friends, they didn't really care
Yeah.
about anything else. And so with the wife though, I mean, she's been incredibly supportive, and that's what it takes sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You almost need that partnership at home to be able to do something productive at work, right? And I've always been lucky to have had that. But it was a sort of a tough choice. But to her credit, I mean, and mostly her credit, I think she didn't even flinch. She's like, okay, if you're gonna do this, better get it right.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't want to go down the wrong path here. Just
Right.
focus, get it done, do what you need to do, and I'll be supportive of that. And so, to her credit, it wasn't a long conversation. She was all in, and we ended up doing it.
That's great. But you make it sound so, easy, but that's a brave move to do that. And then you also have the social aspect too, where you're in Silicon Valley. I imagine it's a lot of, well, not imagine, no, it's a lot of wealth, a lot of very successful people. So then you're downscaling, and you got to wonder, oh, what's up with Ravi? Oh, he's living out of a van now. What's going on? Is he okay? Should we do a GoFundMe for him? So it does take, you're making it sound casual, but it does take a lot of fortitude, right? To say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen and take those risks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think everybody that's started anything or has done anything courageous can relate to this. And I think, I can assure you it's not a Silicon Valley thing, right? Human beings all around the world do courageous things all the time. I think it was just really important to me that this idea, find its way to being, being a product and a company that's serving others. And so for me, I've always measured having an impact, right? I've always selected things and done things that hopefully have a massive impact on people and society. And that's always the way I thought about it. This is just one of those ideas that, I've just been really convinced that this type of a product should have existed, right? The ability to find, let me take a moment here just to give a 30-second description of TaskHuman.
Absolutely.
Right? So TaskHuman is actually incredibly easy to explain. It's an app you can download on your phone or tablet from Apple or Google app stores. And it's going to put an army of live coaches one-on-one in your pocket. And then the question is, okay, what can they help me with? So you can actually instantly find, it's as easy as Google or Uber is to use. Few seconds within the app, you're going to come in, type yoga, and you actually have yoga instructors from all around the world that we've curated and vetted that are ready for you to do a one-on-one session. And so you can video call people, instantly put your phone or tablet down where they can see you, and now you have a live instructor in the comfort of wherever you are, right? You could be in the park, you could be at home, you could be in the office, it doesn't matter. You have a live instructor helping you. Now multiply yoga by literally 1,000 topics of daily work and personal life, all the way from you want a leadership coach, they're available instantly. You want a spiritual guide, we have pastors, ministers, chaplains just waiting for you to call. We have yoga instructors, Pilates, kickboxing, Muay Thai, mental well-being. You're stressed out, need help. You want to talk to somebody about your kids because they're constantly watching too much iPad and you don't know what to do as a frustrated parent. You just literally come in and type things like, my kid is watching too much iPad. And then instead of giving you articles and videos, which is what Google does, we're going to give you live people curated that you can talk to instantly. So that's what TaskHuman is. It's really putting thousands of people and experts in your pocket. Just like Steve Jobs used to say, we're putting 1,000 songs in your pocket with the iPod, right? We're putting thousands of coaches in your pocket to get instantly, regardless of time of the day. And it's a very popular benefit now at pretty much every company we serve. We're the most popular benefit that you can offer to employees, and they get unlimited coaching and unlimited everything that the company is sponsored. So that's what TaskHuman is. And so in that context, coming back to the important question you asked, right? We really feel like human beings want to be connected to other humans, right? That's the thesis behind the entire company is, in those moments of need where articles and videos are just overwhelming or not giving you what you want, you're going to have live human experts on call waiting for you to call, right? And so in doing that, we really feel like we're putting the human connection back in an increasingly digital world, right? You and I are having this discussion, over Zoom, but it still feels personal, right?
Yeah.
It's not, Jack broadcasting a show where I'm one of the million people watching it. That's a different experience. But when you do things one-on-one and you're able to have this back and forth, you come out of it super energized. And so that's sort of our mission in creating this company is, really be able to put the world of human experts in your pocket so you feel supported, you feel connected all the time, right? And in the context of the impact, right? And so because I had this in my mind, it was just I would have been super restless if this idea didn't come. I was always asking myself, like, why is this not there already, right? Why didn't LinkedIn do it? Why didn't Google do it, right? Why is it so hard to find and engage people instantly like Uber, right? And so because I felt super passionate about that, it just became like, it just became a mission to go, you know what, why do I need a house to go execute this idea?
Yeah.
Anything that's a distraction had to go away. And so for me, that's why I'm always a fan of people who are courageous and just go after and do whatever you believe in, right? Whatever that is, just do it.
And so it takes like single-minded determination, really. It's like you have to put on those blinders and say, hey, here's my mission, here's my goal, here are the steps I need to take it, and I'm just going to do it and not let anything get in the way. And also do whatever it takes. If I have to sell my house, scale down, sell some of the furniture, take money out of my bank account, but that's what it takes to really pursue your dream and make it happen. Which, for people who maybe aren't interested in starting a business, but for their career, I guess it's similar where, if you want to find a new job, if you want to go up the corporate ladder, you have to make your mind up, break down on a piece of paper, make it real. I don't know if you do this too, Ravi. It's like write it down, but then maybe you tell somebody, because then now you're stuck because let's say you told me you're going to do it. And every time I see you, hey, Ravi, so what's up with that app? You're like, damn, he's asking me about it. So it keeps it real. And because a lot of people who be watching may not want to start a business, but I think it crosses over so that, hey, if I want to get that new job, it's going to take some steps. It's going to take some hard work to do it. And you got to figure out how do I get doing it and just have that be in that zone and move forward.
Yeah, spot on, right? I mean, I always encourage people to just go, do it, right? Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just do it. And if you find that you're passionate about something, certainly just do it. But if you're not passionate about something, and like a lot of people always are in that zone where they haven't quite found their passion yet, right? And to be honest, that's where I started, for the first 20 years of my career, is I was just passionate about what I did because I didn't know what to be passionate about uniquely. Right. So, and this is just a little bit of wordplay, but, definitely do what you're passionate about.
Well, can I
right? But if you don't know what you're passionate about, just be passionate about whatever you do.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Is it, there's this guy, Scott Galloway. I don't know if you know Professor Scott Galloway from NYU. He has a take on it. So I don't want to say this is my take. So that he'll say successful people, it's not so much they had a passion for it, because a lot of times people make their money in really boring stuff, but then they get good at it and they succeed and they make money. Then they're passionate about it because like, oh, I'm making a lot of money doing this. I'm super successful. So now you're passionate about whatever, like, you're making widgets. That's very unsexy. Now, is that what you did? Or you just right from the get-go, you were one of those fortunate people that you found your calling early on?
Yeah, no, not at all. It's the former, right? I mean, for the first sort of 20 years of my career, obviously I was just kind of, my wife always used to joke, every city I lived in the world was always the greatest city in the world until I moved to the next one, and then that became the greatest city, right? So I was always more just, I've been given an option, somebody took a chance on me and gave me a role. I just wanted to really execute to that role to perfection, or whatever, the best of my abilities. And I was always passionate about what I did. And it's only later on, just the way my life worked out is, only in that 20th year, I had a level of freedom after a 20-year career to say, you know what, now I'm actually going to think about maybe some important things that need to be there, right? And again, it was more of an impact mentality. What can I do that has maximum impact on things? And I sort of entered that zone of my career and my mind. And so, and then within that, it just it wasn't a single light bulb moment. It was just a series of moments over the 10 years that I've since written down that sort of idea that it kind of sparked. And then once the spark's there, you're like, aha, right? And you just go and do it.
It seems so simple. I agree with you. Like, why wouldn't someone have thought before? Because, as somebody who would use your product, I'm thinking that's great. Just like today, right? Sitting here now, this chair just kills my lower back. So I don't know. I would probably go in there and say, okay, do I get a chiropractor? I type in like, all right, my lower back pain, or do I see someone who show yoga? It's being really serious. And it bothers me because I'm sitting here like most people now, like you work all the time around the clock because it's pandemic world. So you're kind of always doing it and it's not healthy. So so something simple. That another thing I would definitely use it for is same thing with the technology. When you're in an office, you have your IT people, you have your staff who could help you if you kind of not know what you're doing, you're by yourself. So that I would definitely, hey, call, like have your go-to IT department to say, hey, why is like just yesterday, my IT department was my son who had to help me out. Like, why am I not getting the sound? What's going on? So instead of doing that, instead of bothering him, and he's gonna say, okay, old man, you know what? I know you don't know how to do it. I'll do it. I could just go to the app and say, okay, how do I walk me through this? But then it holds true for everything, like the stock market is going down now, right? So maybe somebody who, or cryptocurrency aren't doing so well. You could go on there in this financial advisors that you could say, hey, you know what? I've been doing this myself. I've been buying, all these cryptos and NFTs and they're all going down. Like, did I do it? Help me out. So I could, it's cool that, because usually you have something just one sleeve, right? One silo. Here, you have access to everything.
Yeah. And, again, everything is about 1,000 things in your work and personal life, right? You definitely want to get to millions of categories, right? And so the IT support is definitely coming soon in our evolution. So stay tuned for that. But we actually do have the other two things that you mentioned. You can literally log into the app today and type ergonomic support. And with a video call one-on-one with one of the coaches, you can show them your setup, right? And they can help you say, hey, your hands are like this, keep them down. So it's pretty interactive, and you should definitely try it out. If you have lower back pain or you want to try some stretching exercises, yes, definitely covered. And then the other point that you mentioned, which is, anything else around, what you might need, right? For work or personal life, the whole idea is that you come in, type that question, and boom, you get a life coach in seconds, right?
So when you say that, so like you could just start. So like when you say the life coach, so let's say, I need some advice, right? Whether it's career advice, life coach advice, I could just log in, sign up, go on, and then right then and there we could have that session. It wouldn't be like, oh,
spot on. That's exactly what it is. And so we roll out through a lot of companies where the company pays for the subscription and the employees get it, completely, for free. And so, we're live at Zoom, Juniper Networks. We have Southwest Transplant Alliance, which is an organ donor association, which is an amazing partnership we have. IntelliCare, which is helping, America's, tens of thousands of nurses find employment in, hospitals of their choice when they want. We have an awesome partnership with them, not only serve their employees, but to serve all the nurses in this country as well. So we have a ton of organizations, companies, universities. Purdue University is a customer we're very privileged to serve, their College of Engineering, and so on and so on. So that's one model of how we roll this out. So the employee gets completely free, unlimited access. The other model is, as an App Store user, you can go and download the app, and it's a pretty reasonable, fairly priced product. For $60, you can buy 60 minutes of coaching, but you can use the minutes on anybody that you want. So you can do 10 minutes of ergonomics, 10 minutes of financial advice, as you mentioned, maybe 20 minutes of yoga. And then when you run out of minutes, you just buy more minutes and keep going. And so, we have both those models. The most popular is, companies rolling this out because there's just a ton of, I would say, a ton of interest in using these types of products.
So basically, I could be your spokesman in this. So basically what you're saying is that people who are watching this, if you feel, hey, I could benefit from maybe having instant yoga session, instant workout session, instant help with my technology, and a whole host of others. I should ask my company, say, hey, how come you're not using TaskHuman? What's going on? Why don't you use that as a benefit? Because that sounds pretty cool. So let's get that. So
Yeah, yeah,
I figured,
exactly, right. It's I think the key here is employees feel, and you've talked a lot about this in your past podcasts as well, right? So I know you're passionate
yeah,
about sort of work-life balance, work-life integration. So especially as people, are kind of going into this remote hybrid work, whatever environment, right? This, let's call it the post COVID, new
right.
normal. I think there's a heightened sensitivity to supporting the employee wherever they are, right? You could have a traveling salesperson who's really busy. You could have a mom who just maybe had a kid, and she's coming back to work or deciding what to do. Being able to support the whole employee, right? Not just the 8 to 5 portion of the employee, right? Because it goes without saying the company will support you with, with the desk that you wanted, or if you needed anything for work, they'll give it to you. But the rest of your life was not something they want to support, right? Or haven't had a chance to support in the past. So what we've been able to bring attention to is to say, hey, let's embrace Jack, right? Let's embrace Ravi for all of what he is, and help him throughout all aspects of his life, right? So I'll give you a couple of examples. I mean, Google always decided, many companies have decided, when you're at work, we're gonna have a cafeteria to help you, right? Maybe we'll have free peanuts, or we'll have free this foosball table, etc. So they always chose aspects of your life that they wanted to help with, because they thought it would make you a more productive worker. But when we launch our platform, we really help. Through us, the companies can help you with your pet. If your pet is running around eating your pillow, you can get a pet coach on TaskHuman. The company can help you feel like, hey, I'm arguing with my spouse all the time. You can literally come into our app and type, I hate my spouse. And, we have coaches that can help you think through that, right? So,
All right, but you got to be careful to delete that afterwards from
yeah,
your
that's
history,
right.
so they don't see that. that's
That's
true.
right. Well,
Then you know what you have to
news,
do, Ravi?
nothing ever goes
How do I
back to
find a
your
divorce
company,
lawyer?
right? Yeah.
How do I find a divorce lawyer is the next one if they find that out.
That's right, exactly. And you can say things like, I've always wanted to learn yoga, or I've always wanted to improve my English. And you can actually practice with a live person as opposed to Rosetta Stone and listening to that, if you're outside the US, and so on and so on. So now with TaskHuman, the company can actually support you as an employee in 1,000 areas of your work and personal life. On the work side, we have negotiation coaches, we have leadership coaches, sales training coaches, right? So all the things that you need at work, hey, I want to manage my team up, I want to manage my managers better, right? Don't know how to do that. We have a coach for that. I want to manage my team, give them performance feedback. We have a coach for that. So beyond that, because of the comprehensiveness of what we offer, companies are now able to say, you know what? Previously, I just gave you peanuts, literally. Right now, I'm going to give you better support for different aspects of your work and personal life, inviting and the ability to help you wherever you are on whatever you want. Right. So that's sort of the shift that we're trying to bring to the world. And so, we do just want to underline what you said, right? I personally think this is a fundamental human right. Right? I really think that human beings deserve this level of personal coaching support, right? And not just in one area, in every area. Taking you back to our cave person days, right? Where you're a caveman or a cavewoman, back in the day, everybody you knew was right there, right? Whether you needed, prenatal help or postnatal help, or you needed, a fish or, an animal you were hunting, right? Whatever you needed, the community was right there and you could learn. But in this new world with 7 billion people, it's so hard to build that community for yourself, right? And that's what TaskHuman is helping you build. You can build your own dream team, and you too can feel like you're Kim Kardashian, right? She has an army of people helping her, and kudos to her, right? That's what makes her successful. What about the average me, right? Average Ravi out there who's not, how can I feel special? And the answer is, get your company to support you in all those different things so you can feel like a superhero.
Actually, that would make a great commercial. I could visualize that. You have somebody walking down the street, and then you have like a fitness coach, and you have a lawyer, and you have an accountant, and you have someone else all walking behind
Right?
you.
Why not?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you are the new
yeah,
superhero, right? Welcome to
yeah,
2022, where you are officially a superhero,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so timely because I've been writing about so much of this lately. Is that in this hot job market where, but like 4 million people are quitting their jobs pretty much on a monthly basis. There's 11 million jobs open here in the U.S. alone, and these companies are having such a hard time hiring people, attracting people, retaining people. So they're now giving like free college tuition, like a Walmart and Target, and they're giving flexible schedules, meaning come in when you want to come in, don't come in if you don't want to come in, remote work, digital nomads. So like it's cool seeing all these trends. And this is kind of another aspect where it's a competitive tool. You know what I mean? So for the companies, it's like, hey, because they're trying really hard, how can we differentiate ourselves from other places? And to me, I think the winners in this post-pandemic era are going to be the ones who get it, who say, okay, you know what? We really have to take care of our people because we don't, they're just going to leave.
Yeah.
And the arrogant ones who don't do it. So I think kind of your product fits exactly the time period that it offers, great benefit. And as you said, it's across the board. So it's not just like one sliver, you get help across, with so many different things.
Yeah, just a little bit of wordplay to add to
Yeah.
what you're saying, right? We're actually saying, help the whole employee, to go with that, right? Don't just, we call this come as you are. I always tell, everybody that joins the company, look, we accept you for everything you bring to the table, right? You might just be, for instance, we just hired a pregnant woman into the company, and she started in December, and she was actually concerned. She was like, hey, I'm going to deliver a baby in about 3 months, right? Is that okay? And it just kind of shocked me that was even a question that came out of. We're like, look, we're so lucky to have you. Please say yes, right? And she's actually sitting there going, is it okay, right? And I go, no, I mean, of course it's okay, right? It's yes, right? We want you and come as you are, right? So that's what, in the case of, somebody who's pregnant, it's kind of obvious. But when somebody else comes in, you don't know what they're carrying with them, right? They may just have a sick mom that they have to care for, right? They may have a child that they have to care for. Maybe they're just, have to drop off, pick up the kids, whatever, right? You just don't know because you never asked, because you thought you shouldn't ask or couldn't ask or don't want to ask, whatever it is. You just don't know the full story of the human being that you're getting. And in the context of what you just said, right? I think companies should know the full story, want to know, and then help, right? Help with the whole story. So if somebody does have, a sick parent, see if you can help, right? Have flexible benefits that can, allow them to be themselves, right? Give them a work structure. Don't expect X. It's okay if they have to cancel a meeting to go, take care of X, right? So take care of the whole employee. And when you do that, I think they're going to reward you with their loyalty and their best productivity, right? Whatever that is, right? Because I've seen, over the years that some years I haven't produced my absolute best, but other years overall, on an average, I've been killing it, right? And so those years where maybe I wasn't the best, or I know I could have done better, I was still productive, right? But in the longer run, the company got everything that they could get out of me, and I felt good, and the company felt good, right? That's why you get promoted and all of that good stuff. So I think you kind of have to take the long-term view when it comes to employees, because it's not just about what they're doing, this quarter, this year. When you take the whole employee and embrace the whole employee and their life and their situation, and you're sensitive to that, I think that people will reward you in the longer run, and their average batting over the years that they're going to hopefully support you, right, is going to be awesome.
That's great. So let me ask you one last question before, I don't want to take up too much of your time, because running a startup, you probably don't get that much sleep. You still, because it's still really early stages, right? You're still kind of building this out. So what's next on the horizon? Where do you see this going to?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be that platform where, that actually brings in pretty much every human experience on our website, we've kind of put this bold vision statement out there. We really think that just like Google indexed the world's written information, right? Anything that's been written down anywhere, they've done a phenomenal job of indexing it and bringing it to you in 0.004 seconds, right? As quickly as you can type, they've got the results there for you. Similarly, when you want live human beings, when you want to connect, right? Like say Jack says, hey, I got a printer problem, or I got, I want to learn origami. We want to quickly get you a human being that, you can connect with to learn from a human being. So we want to index what makes people special and bring their skills to you over a video call instantly. Right. So that's sort of our mission. So what's next is, it's going to be decades of mapping the world's experiences and human experiences and expertise, and, and branching out, instead of providing 1,000 areas of coaching, we want to provide millions of areas of coaching and bring you live human help in literally anything you can imagine.
That's
so
awesome.
That's really where we're headed. And I do want to make one point about sleep, because a lot of people assume that, you can't do this. I get 8 hours of sleep. Minimal, and I actually enjoy the 9th hour on the on the days that I get it. So don't compromise on sleep, right? Activity, nutrition, and sleep are the 3 most important things that you can do for yourself. So if you're one of those people that's able to survive on 4 hours of sleep, that's great. Know yourself. But if you do need more sleep, I hope you're able to structure your life, right? Work-life integration again. I hope you're able to find and shine a light on those things that are truly important for you to survive.
It's so interesting from speaking to other, execs and CEOs. That's a common piece of advice they offer about getting to sleep. Like we were interviewing Elaine DeHaze, the CEO of Adecco, one of the largest, if not, I think the largest staffing and talent. And he was like adamant about getting that 8 hours, and he knows, his team knows, and he encourages his team too. So it's helpful for his people, because then they could cut off. They don't have to feel like they're always on. They always have to answer Slack at crazy hours at night and weekends, so that it kind of sets the stage that no, we decompress. So that's good advice. So this is great. I really appreciate you taking the time. I think it's a great product. It's awesome. I'm gonna definitely use it for my back first, and then I got to figure out what else. Definitely when you get the tech set up. Because that I hate having to depend on saying, Jake, come here, help me. So this way I can kind of do it, and then I can tell him, oh, I took care of it. I'll get the help and say, oh,
maybe you can help him one day. Exactly. Yeah.
I know how to do it. Yeah, I'll do it. And then, I'll leave these to the scalability is huge, because it could even be like, okay, I want to buy NFTs. What do I do? I want to buy cryptocurrencies. What do I do? So I could visualize that this could just keep growing exponentially.
Yeah, exactly. No, we already have financial advisors who don't offer investment advice, because that's tricky, right? Depending on the country. Remember, TaskHuman is already a global platform available in literally 60 different countries for employees globally. So we tend not to offer particular investment advice, but generally crypto market, right? That's coming soon. NFTs, you want to know more about that, coming soon, right? And so that is exactly the point. And it is scalable infinitely, because there are that many interesting topics that people want to know, right? And so, Jack, thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Super kind with the opportunity here, and I hope we were able to give your audience a
absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Take care. It was great seeing you again, my friend.
Likewise. Thank you for having us.